Okay, now we will try how to implement projectile motion. Yeah, we will combine GLBB and the free fall motion. Okay, so projectile motion actually can also be implemented easily by applying the initial velocity or initial force to any object and using the use gravity property on the rigid body. Yeah, let's make our example more interesting. Yeah, let's say that our car can fire projectiles when left clicking, yeah, or pressing the virtual button named fire one. Okay, the first step is to actually create the projectile itself. So please follow these steps. Yeah. First, we will create a new sphere, rename it to projectile. You may resize it as needed. Yeah. If you feel that the projectile is too big, then you can make it smaller. Yeah. And then don't forget to add the rigid body component, and we will create a new script simply called projectile and attach it to your sphere immediately. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Create a new sphere. Yeah, and then you may want to check if the size is anything you desire. Yeah, maybe here my sphere is enough in its size, so I will leave it as it is. And then rename it to projectile. Add the rigid body component. Yeah, check it. If you want to change it mass, then do it now. Yeah, just make sure that the use gravity property is on. Yeah, checked on here. And then we will create a new C# script. I will name it projectile. Yeah, and then I will attach the script immediately to the projectile game object. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, the projectile script is attached, then I can start to edit. Yeah, start scripting. Yeah, please take a look at the script first. Yeah, we will create two public fields. Yeah, the first one is a factor 3 for the initial velocity, and then we will also introduce a lifetime for the projectile. Yeah, it means this projectile will only appear on the screen for this amount of time. Yeah, which after this time has elapsed, then it will be deleted or destroyed immediately. Okay, let's add these two fields, public factor 3, initial velocity, and then the lifetime, let's say 5 seconds. And also create a private field for the rigid body. And then at the start method, just create the reference, yeah, get the reference to the rigid body component. And give it the initial velocity here. Yeah, apply the velocity with the initial velocity. And the third line is new for you. Yeah, we will call a method called destroy. Yeah, destroy gives two parameters here, two arguments. Yeah, game object and lifetime. Okay, I will explain about the destroy method. Yeah, the destroy method, as it is called, will simply destroy the component specified in the first argument here. Yeah, if you specify game object as the first argument, then the game object which the script is attached to will be destroyed as well. Yeah, the second argument is optional. Yeah, it specifies the delay prior to destroying the component. Yeah, the default value is 0. So if you omit this argument, then the destroy method will be called or executed immediately. Yeah, but if you specify any delay to the destroy method, then the destroy method will be executed after this time in seconds. Yeah. So let's call destroy here. Destroy the game object after the lifetime has elapsed. Okay, that's all for the projectile script. Yeah, as you can see here, the update method is empty, so you can safely delete the update. Okay, and then save your script. Go back to the Unity editor. Yeah, and then you may want to test your script first. Yeah, by adding some initial velocity. Yeah, y, let's say, let's give it 10. And z, let's give it 5. Yeah, you can safely leave the lifetime as it is. Okay, let's see the motion. Yeah, is it correct to have a projectile motion? Okay, I think I need to turn off my gravity in my car. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look again. Yeah, as you can see, now my projectile moves in a parabolic trajectory. Yeah, so our script is correct. Yeah, our script works beautifully. Okay, so now that I am happy with my script and my projectile as a whole, yeah, I will create what we call a prefab. So what is a prefab? Yeah, a prefab is a root game object which is stored in Unity as assets. Yeah, and then after we store it as asset, yeah, prefabs can be instantiated, yeah, to spawn it as game objects on the scene, yeah, either by duplicating the prefab, yeah, or using the prefab as game objects, yeah, or we can later spawn it using scripts. Yeah, the advantage of using prefab, yeah, is that any changes in the prefab will be reflected on the instantiated game objects immediately. Yeah, so you can think of prefab is something similar as a parent-child relation in object-oriented programming. Yeah, so the prefab is the parent, and the instantiated game objects are the children. How to create the prefab? Yeah, as it is regarded as assets, so please create the prefabs folder first in your assets. Yeah, in the assets, please create a new folder simply called prefabs. Yeah, and then with the folder still open, yeah, please open the folder. To create a prefab, we can just simply drag the desired game objects, yeah, that we want to store it as assets. Yeah. So for example, here I want to create the projectile as a prefab. Simply drag it from the hierarchy window and drop it in the project window, yeah, on the prefab folder. Yeah, if you do it correctly, then you will have a new asset here. Yeah, there is our prefab, and then you can take a look the changes here, the slight changes in the hierarchy. Yeah. So any game objects that are instantiated from a prefab will be highlighted, or the name will be printed in blue. Yeah, and the icon is also different. Yeah, you can see the icon is a blue box here. Yeah, compared to the ordinary game objects. If you want to modify your prefab, then you can simply modify it here. Yeah, so for example, you say that, okay, the initial velocity is not speedy enough, yeah, for the projectile to actually move in the projectile motion. Yeah, so you may want to increase the y component. Yeah, you can edit the the prefab immediately here. Yeah, okay. That is how to create prefabs. Okay, so if you notice in the inspector, yeah, if I select my game object here, projectile game object, yeah, you can see that some of the properties now are bolded. Yeah, this means that the value of these properties, yeah, already differ from the parent. Yeah, there is the prefab. Yeah, so remember in the object-oriented programming, if you derive something uh, from the base class, yeah, you can still have their own values, yeah, for even for the fields that are derived from the parents. Yeah, the same principle also applies here. So I can actually move my projectile now, and you can see the position is still be applied, yeah, regardless of what is the setting in the prefab. Okay, now for the next step, we will create the ability for our car to be able to shoot the projectiles. Yeah, we will create a new empty game object as a child of our car. Then we will use this empty game object as a starting position for the projectiles to spawn. Yeah, this will be the spawn position of the projectiles. So simply name it spawn point. Okay, I will add an empty game object. Yeah, I can just select create empty child here, rename it to spawn point, and move it to the front of your car. Yeah, just approximate, or if you want, you can use your projectile, yeah, to have a good estimate of where your spawn point should be located. Yeah, so something like this. Okay, after you have positioned your spawn point, please delete the projectile game object. Yeah, delete the game object, not the prefab. Yeah, if you delete the prefab, then you have to start over creating the projectile. Yeah, so make sure you have created the projectile prefab. Yeah, only then you may safely delete your projectile game object, because we want to instantiate this when the user left clicks, yeah, or pressing the left control. Okay, so to instantiate game objects during runtime, yeah, the prefab is the only way to do that. Yeah, so that's why we need to create the prefab for the projectile. Yes, because we want to spawn it during runtime. Yeah, only prefab can be instantiated. Yeah. So here, for example, when pressing fire one virtual button, either left click or left control, we will instantiate a projectile at the spawn point. Okay, so create a new script, name it shoot, then attach it to your car. Okay, let's create the script. Yeah, create C# script, name it shoot. Yeah, wait until it compiles. Yeah, the script appears on your inspector, and then you can attach it to your car. Okay, let's check. Yeah, now I have three scripts in my car. Yeah, the car movement, the tree generator, and the shoot script. Okay, let's open the shoot script and let's take a look here. Yeah, I have two game object fields. Yeah, the first one is the projectile prefab, and the second one is the spawn point. Yeah, the projectile prefab is required because we want to instantiate this prefab, yeah, into a game object. The spawn point, in the meantime, is required to give the position of where we want to spawn the projectiles. So if you take a look here, yeah, in the void update, we check if the fire1 virtual button is pressed down. Yeah, if input.getButton down fire1, then we will call a method called instantiate. Yeah, this method is used to instantiate a prefab into a game object during runtime. Yeah, let's take a look at the method. Yeah, instantiate. This is only one overload. Yeah, actually we have quite a number of overloads for the instantiate method. Yeah, I will use the one of them, which requires three arguments. Yeah, the first argument is the prefab, yeah, of the game object we want to spawn. Yeah, the second argument is the position where we want to spawn or instantiate the game object. And the third one is the initial rotation of the game object. Yeah, so here instantiate will instantiate a game object or prefab. Yeah, a prefab will be instantiated at the position with the initial rotation. Yeah, for the rotation, it is measured in another system called a quaternion. Yeah, you don't really need to understand quaternion because the math behind the quaternion is very complicated. Yeah, so we don't learn it here. Yeah, but for simplicity, for now, if you don't want any rotation at all, just give it a quaternion dot identity. Yeah, this is the same as telling Unity I don't want my game object to be rotated at all. Okay, so now let's type this code into our update method. Yeah, but first I will add my two fields first, public game object, projectile prefab, and the spawn point. I will remove my start method. Yeah, we don't need it. And then in the update method, we can check first if input.getButton down fire1, and then call the instantiate method. The first argument, yeah, here you can see we have 10 overloads, yeah, but we will use only one overload. There is the first argument is the projectile prefab. At the position of the spawn point, so give it a spawn point dot transform dot position, and no rotation at all, so give it a quaternion dot identity. Okay, so this is the script to shoot, yeah, to actually instantiate the projectile in front of our car. The next step is to go back to the Unity, and we must initialize some properties for the shoot script. Yeah, as shown here, please drag and drop the spawn point game object to the spawn point property of your shoot script. And then also drag and drop the projectile prefab to the projectile prefab property of your shoot script. Okay, let's do it. For the spawn point, I can drag and drop this spawn point game object to here. And then for the prefab, I will drag and drop my projectile prefab to the projectile prefab field or property. Yeah, that's all. You can test it now. Yeah, left click anywhere on the game window. Yeah, don't click it on the scene window. Yeah, input the get button, and get access does not work if your active window is scene. Yeah, so if you click it here and wonder why my shoot script does not work, yeah, it is, yeah, because Unity is not detecting any input from from our mouse and from our keyboard. Yeah, so click it in the game window instead. Yeah, you will get something like this. Yeah, you can also move your car. Yeah, and then create something like this. Yeah, I think the speed or the velocity of my car is now roughly the same with the velocity of my projectile. So I have some interesting effects like this. Yeah, if you want, you can always increase the speed. Now, if you notice, I have something very weird here. Yeah, now my car is moving, is tilting here. Yeah, because it actually reacts with my projectile. Yeah, for now, let's ignore it. Yeah, or if you want, you can make it so that the projectile does not react with the car. Yeah, or if you have a very wild camera movement, yeah, because your car actually collides and reacts with the projectile. So let's turn the interaction for our projectile with the car. Yeah, for now, please select your projectile prefab and then look at the inspector here. Yeah, search for your sphere collider component. Yeah, I find it here. And then turn on the is trigger property. Okay, so what is the is trigger property? Yeah, if the is trigger property is turned on, yeah, any game objects with is trigger property turned on means that it will not interact with any rigid bodies when colliding with each other. Yeah, so let's try it again. Yeah, now I will move my car, and you can see that my car now will not rotate at all. Yeah, and even if let's say I increase my speed limit, so my car now moves faster than my ball, my projectile. Yeah, let's see if I can actually make it so that the projectile hits with my car. Yeah. Okay, something like this. Yeah, as you can see briefly. Yeah. Now the projectiles will simply move, yeah, past my car and does not react at all, so my car will not be rotated. Yeah, so there is an example of how we avoid two rigid bodies to interact with each other. Yeah, this is only one way to do it. Yeah, later on in the next courses, we will also try something else. Yeah, to make it so that when two rigid bodies collapse, they will not interact with each other. We can still detect the collisions here during runtime via scripts. Yeah, we will do it also later in the next few courses. Okay, so that's all about creating a projectile motion. Yeah, so we have created a very interesting property here for our car. Now our car can also shoot some projectiles. Yeah, and the projectiles move in a projectile motion as it should be. Yeah, if you have some troubles here, please don't hesitate. Yeah, you can ask me in the comments, or you can also chat with me on the Google Hangouts group I have created for you. Yeah, you can also ask your assistant as well. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all for the projectile motion. Yeah. The last topic is the friction and the momentum as well. Yeah. Please take a look at the next video.